A lot to react to here, and I'm wearing a smile right now because I know a lot of you are smiling right now after this epic, very exciting, very thrilling roller coaster of a game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas for week 2 of the preseason. And a reason why we're all kind of laughing, because all of us were on that roller coaster together. All of us were riding on that seesaw together. All of us early in this game were saying, cut Jake Moody, leave him in Las Vegas. The Niners have to admit their mistake and move on from him. And what does Jake Moody do? Proves us all wrong, saves his job on the 53-man roster as the kicker for this Niners team. And anytime I am wrong, I will eat the crow. Credit to Jake Moody. We never doubted you. We have never said anything bad about you, and you are a top 10 kicker in all of football. But look, his ability to respond to adversity when he was looking down and out is something that we needed to see from Jake Moody. When the times got tough, when he missed a kick, how is he going to come back off of that? Let's run through it here. Because early in this game, Jake Moody missed from 53 yards. And you're like, here we go again. The Niners didn't have a true kicker competition with him and Greg Joseph. They let Joseph go. Moody has been the only kicker in camp for the last couple of weeks. And you're like, really? You're just going to hand him the job without him having to compete with somebody else? Why not let it transpire to an actual game where you can see how Moody fares in a live game situation when the pressure is on with fans and with everybody watching? Last week in the preseason opener against the Denver Broncos, he didn't attempt a single field goal. Jake Moody needs these reps. The Niners need to know that Jake Moody can be a viable kicker. Early in this game, he misses from 53. After that, he misses from, barely makes it from 26 yards. And you're saying, are we really doing this? This is a circus with the Niners kicker. They need to go find somebody else. Nobody had confidence watching Jake Moody that he was going to make that 53-yarder. He didn't even have confidence in himself. The Niners, as a team, had no belief that he was going to connect that kick. And then he barely makes it, squeaks it in from 26 yards. And you're like, are you kidding me? If that kick was from 30, it would have clanked off the left upright. But let's give credit where credit is due. And let's acknowledge how Jake Moody responded to the turmoil early. He comes back and connects from 40 yards to make it a 16-16 game. 44 yards, 50 yards to make it a 16-16 game. He connects from 44 yards to make it a 19-19 game with 3:04 left. And then you can't make this up. The theater, the dramatics, the thrilling nature of it. After Jalen Mahoney intercepts Cam Miller and the Niners take over in Raider territory with a few seconds left, the Niners run 3 plays, they pick up 0 yards, and out comes Jake Moody for a potential game-winning 59-yard field goal. And what does Jake Moody do? Jake Moody not only made it, he drilled it with room to spare from 59, which I know it's a preseason game, but that would be his career long. And here's the thing, too. Allegiant Stadium was electric. Anytime you get Niner fans and Raider fans inside the building, it makes for a great regular season-like atmosphere. There were loud chants on third downs, on fourth downs, on money downs. It got lit inside that stadium, and so there was a lot of noise. And you replicated a pressure-like situation for Jake Moody that he and the Niners needed, because you couldn't afford to go into the regular season with him as your kicker knowing that he could very well cost you football games in a game that is decided by the margins. And so for Moody to miss early, barely make the 26-yarder, and then to round out with kicks of 50, 44, and 59, good on you, Moody. We never doubted you. I have never said anything bad about you, and never have I ever uttered that the Niners needed to cut your ass. Good job by Jake Moody. He is a big winner coming out of this football game here today. And it was a lot of fun. So are you confident in Jake Moody moving forward? I'm still really not that confident. Why for yes and for no? Join the conversation down in the comment section. Something that was really cool was seeing how the Niners players reacted to Moody making that kick because they knew how much that meant to him. Now, it feels as though Brock Purdy started this game yesterday with how stressful even this game was for a preseason game. We'll talk about that on the other side. But I do want to tell you about this deal. And during our watch party, thanks to everybody who tuned in, we had so many people who purchased this hoodie. See, I'm so fired up I can barely talk. It was $80, now on sale for just $48. Head to chatsports.com/Niners hoodie. It's a slick look, great materials, all thanks to our friends at Fanatics. You use that link, Fanatics will know that Chase Sr., Chat Sports, and the 49ers Report sent you. Chatsports.com/Niners hoodie. This hoodie, nearly 50% off. Get yours today. All right, some of my other takeaways from this game. Brock Purdy and a lot of the offensive starters played the first drive of the game. And it ended up being a pretty successful drive for San Francisco. I thought Brock Purdy looked awesome on that opening drive. He was very accurate outside of a throw to Demarcus Robinson in the red zone, which was an extension off of a running play where he overthrew Robinson on a quick 1 or 2 step drop and a quick trigger throw to Robinson, who I thought looked really good in this game. Other than that, though, Purdy, 5 of 7 for 67 yards. And when Kyle Shanahan had announced that Niners starters were going to begin this game, the one thing I said I wanted to see was this Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall connection, which has been on fire throughout training camp and in joint practices, translate to the actual game. We saw it right from the jump. First pass of the game, Purdy hit Pearsall on an out route for 8 yards. Later on that drive, it was Purdy to Pearsall for 14 yards. Then, on I believe a 3rd and long, it was Purdy connecting with Pearsall on a great layered throw where the protection barely held up. If Purdy held onto that ball for a half more second, Max Crosby, who kind of beat Colton McKivitz, would have beheaded Brock Purdy, but he layered that ball down the field for 21 yards. And so for Purdy to look awesome, accurate, decisive, confident, we saw him on the run. That is a glimpse of what we can expect from this Niners offense in 2025, and that was without Christian McCaffrey in the backfield and Trent Williams at left tackle. And for Pearsall to look as good as he did, that was a great sign for San Francisco as well. Because if he can stay healthy, we saw toward the end of last year, we saw today, he can be a factor, and he can be a really dynamic player for this Niners team. Now, a concern from that first drive that we're going to have to continue to monitor as the season gets underway is that drive stalled out in the red zone. That was a huge problem for Kyle Shanahan's offense last year. But a lot of positives on that first drive with the ones playing in game action for the first time. The run blocking, too, wasn't great without McCaffrey and Trent Williams. San Francisco starters really struggled to run the ball. And then Max Crosby was beating Colton McKivitz. That continues to be a glaring hole for this team. Dominic Puni on the field goal attempt to cap off that drive did get hurt. Somebody kind of fell into his leg on a special teams play. Very fluky. He left the game immediately, was ruled out with a knee injury. He was on the sideline later, which is always a good sign. He seemed to be in good spirits. He did kind of jog off the field as well. And so hopefully the stud right guard for San Francisco, who's a pivotal piece along this Niners offensive line, isn't out for the long term, and we're getting word right now he's out for a few weeks. Out for a few weeks for Dominic Puni, which sucks, but obviously it could have been worse. Jair Brown I don't think that he's locked down this safety spot. And that is still an open competition. He got mossed by Brock Bowers, and then he got truck-sticked by Ashton Genty. Some red flags for him after he played poorly last year, after I thought he played very well during his rookie campaign. And a player whose stock continues to soar is Marquise Siegel, the 5th-round pick out of Kansas State. A hell of a tackle on a one-on-one. Impressive pursuit and finish to hold the Raiders on 3rd down. I think that he's going to start for this Niners team in week 1. Tatum Bethune, stock up for him as well. I think he's the top backup middle linebacker behind Fred Warner. He put a tremendous hit on Ashton Genty. Corey Kiner, he got hurt. Ankle injury. That didn't look good. Mac Jones did throw a pick, and it was a bad pick that was telegraphed, and he didn't see the defender the entire time. But I did think that Mac Jones, all things considered, played pretty well. He was 13 of 16, 135 yards, a rating of 75.8. He threw that pick to Jeremy Chin, who he didn't see dropping back into zone coverage. Outside of that interception, and I know he threw the pick in week 1 of the preseason, that wasn't on him. I thought that Mac looked good, and I just think this Niners QB2 spot is in a much better spot than it was last year with the likes of Joshua Dobbs and Brandon Allen. Last week, after Nick Martin had over-pursued and missed a couple of tackles, couldn't throttle down, and his aggression and fast play style took him out of plays, I thought Nick Martin was excellent in this game. He had a sack of Aiden O'Connell where he ran a little stunt, shot the gap, and got to AOC. And then there was a play where he got beat down the seam by a tight end. And even though he got beat, used his hands to dislodge the football. You love to see that. And Nick Martin has this playing speed where he has great range sideline to sideline. He can get up and down the field in a blink. It felt as though he was everywhere. He kind of was. 6 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, a sack, 2 TFLs, and a quarterback hit. That is what he's capable of doing and being as a player at the NFL level, and that's why San Francisco used a 3rd-round pick on him. Chase Lucas continues to have a stellar preseason. This is a player who's been a special teamer up until this point with Detroit and with San Francisco last year. I think that Chase Lucas has to have a role for Robert Saleh's defense in 2025. He was excellent in week 1 of the preseason, couple of delayed blitzes, and then got to Bo Nix on the play that forced the safety in week 1 of the preseason. Today against the Raiders, had a nice interception and then another corner blitz, which resulted in another sack. Chase Lucas is playing the best football of his life, and that's a player who you can use in that slot corner role behind Upton Stout potentially, who I think can impact and help elevate your defense, and you can use him as a chess piece on that side of the ball. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Robert Saleh utilizes him. Any other notes that I have? That's pretty much it with what really stood out to me. You know, Robbie Chosen-Anderson, I think, is going to be a practice squad wide receiver. He had 5 catches for 92. I thought he left some meat on the bone and some money on the table. I think that he would say the same because he had a couple of plays downfield that I thought he could have made, but he had one particular drop. So 5 catches on 7 targets. I think he's a good practice squad guy. Russell Gage made a really nice catch. He caught 3 balls on 3 targets. With question marks at wide receiver, he's had a good camp. He could very well start for this team in week 1. Tariq Owens had a catch for 17. I'd like to see him come back to the practice squad as a developmental guy. I thought that the long run that Corey Kiner had of 19, you saw the spark there. He's an NFL player, but unfortunately he went down and it didn't look good. Needed a cart to take him off. I thought that Jeff Wilson showed a little bit of something. I don't think he's going to make the active roster, nor do I think Keyshawn Vaughn is going to make the active roster. But with all these running backs out, banged up, and hurt, they took advantage of their opportunities, and Patrick Taylor even went down early. With Patrick Taylor, he just lacks juice when he runs. He's a better special teams player, 4 carries for -6. And there's a little bit of indecisiveness with how he runs the football. I just think the other backs on this team, even Vaughn and Kiner and Wilson, they just run better than Patrick Taylor. But the Niners might keep him on the team just because of his special teams ability. But hey, good on Jake Moody. Way to respond to adversity. Way to come back after a rocky start to this game and take advantage of your ops. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. Hit that subscribe button for daily Niners coverage right here on the show. Thanks to everybody who tuned into the watch party, and we'll catch you soon. See ya.